What up, guys? I don't know if you're following that Television Amico, the console that at this point it's supposed to have been out, but it reminds me of that movie, The Campaign. Get your brooms out, boys, because this is a mess. But, I've seen a lot of shit in my life. I've seen a lot of shit, but I ain't never seen no shit like that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off by saying this is my very humble Super Nintendo, Super Famicom collection. And you might be thinking, Baltimore Retro Gaming, why do you have two piles here? Well, this pile here is the games I done been had, and this is all the games I've got recently. So let's get right into this. Let me just you can see a couple of them right here. We're gonna start off with the games I done been had. All right. First off, Earth Defense Force. Now, I do believe this franchise is bled out into, and I'm sure there's people in the comments you can let me know all about it, but I do believe this franchise is bled into games, 3D games, probably some type of action game on like the PS3, 360, PS4, I'm sure on modern systems to this day, I'm sure. But this is a shooter. I don't know what it goes for today, but it's not a great shooter, but it is a shooter, and it's Earth Defense Force. Next up, okay, so the interesting tale about this game. This is one of a couple of games that I actually, good games that are actually good as an adult that I owned as a child. And this Phalanx, I don't know how you're really supposed to pronounce that, but this is one my mother got for me for a birthday. I remember I was in Ocean City, Maryland at the time, staying in some condo. It was my birthday, and I unwrapped this present, and I knew it was a Super Nintendo game. I thought it was going to be, and it turned out to be a great game, but at the time I didn't think so. I saw the box for this, and I remember thinking, what the fuck? But it turns out my mom actually got me a very special gift, and I played the hell out of this game and got pretty good at it. And I'm glad that she got me this game, because this is one of the games that at a very young age got me introduced to shooters. And I do believe there's one other person that I've heard talk about that, like as a teenager, I think during a live stream. I think it was Shmup Junkie. He was going into a couple of experiences he had as a younger kid playing shooters. But that's why I'm so nostalgic for them today. And it just so happens to be that they're awesome, right? And I'm getting into arcade sticks, and all the stuff that goes with it is great. But I do believe this is still right around the same price. And also, I do believe there was a Game Boy Advance port of this game. So haven't been able to find it, but if you guys got it, I'd be interested to buy it off you. Next up, we have Contra 3, staple game. This is a great game. I own this digitally on my Switch. Speaking of which, I'm not going to go into Contra 3. We've all played Contra 3. If you haven't played Contra 3, this is a great game. I don't believe this is a super expensive game on the Super Nintendo, but it's just so good, and it controls so good. So good. I like this better than the Contra that came out on the Genesis, and I've heard a lot of people say they like that Contra better. I like Contra 3 better. It is good, and I do believe Factor 5, the same people that did the Terrakin games, I think, they did a Contra Alien Wars. I don't think it's called Contra 3, the Alien Wars, but there's a Contra Alien Wars that came out on the original Game Boy. I do own a copy, a card-only copy, but I've only seen it once, and it wasn't that expensive. But I've never, ever been able to find that game again, and I don't see it come up often for sale online either. But another game that I had before, I had, Super Castlevania 4, but I sold it. I sold it recently because I have this. If I'm going to play Super Castlevania 4, I have it physically for my Switch. M2 ported it with the save states and everything that M2 does with their awesome ports. But, again, I have that digitally on my Switch as well as this, and this is still sealed. Why the hell what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Okay. Thunder Spirits. I thought $4 in 2014, huh? And at one time it was $17.99. So, yeah, this is, part of the Thunder Force series, obviously. But Thunder Spirits, I don't really like, this isn't a great game, but cool cover art right there. Okay, here we have Sonic Blast Man 2. This was most of these I found at the flea market and, some other game stores around me. I remember getting this one half off because it's like sun damaged, label damaged. Awesome beat 'em up. What can I say? This was a hidden gem when I found out about it. And again, it's just one people don't really talk about. You'll see it in lists of like great beat 'em ups for the Super Nintendo, though. At the time, I hadn't really seen any of those videos, but if you do watch those like greatest like beat 'em ups on the Super Nintendo, you will see people add this game to their list, and for good reason. It's a pretty excellent game. But that's Sonic Blast Man 2, and Sonic Blast Man 1 is a lot cheaper. But I've heard that's not a great game. But if it is good, let me know in the comments if it's like great. And I should have in Sonic Blast Man 1 because they got a copy at a game store near me, and if it's good, I'll pick it up. Operation Logic Bomb. I bought this not too terribly long ago, but I think this was on like the Nintendo Switch Online games for the Super Nintendo, and I think I played it there and liked it, so that's why I picked that up. So maybe I should add this to my other pile, but I've had this for a few months now, so I feel like I'm going to add this to the pile of games that I done been had. And here is Super R-Type. I do believe that it's right around the same price to this day. I feel like I owned this as a kid, but I also feel like at the same time I didn't. This is a common game. It's good. It's extremely hard. And I also own this for the Super Famicom, or have the Super Famicom version, but you guys will see that in a minute. Here we go. We have Supernova. Uncommon. This is a semi-uncommon shooter on the Super Nintendo, and obviously you can see the label there. It's obviously, what series would Supernova be? What series of shooters would Supernova be? I'll show you what series. Here we go. Part of this series. Here's the next game. I'll show you the Darius series, and here's Darius Twin. Very interesting. Now, I'm not sure what game this is supposed to be in the Darius series. I'm sure I probably own this ported on the Switch and PS4 at this point, but just haven't done the research to check and see which version of Darius that this is supposed to be right here. But obviously here in this version, or part of the world, they called it Supernova. So Supernova and Darius Twin. Okay, next up we have Super Adventure Island. And I think there was a Super Adventure Island 2. I may have owned that at some point. Yeah, let me know if that's great too. Or if maybe am I just making that up in my head? Is there no Super Adventure Island 2? Next up we have D-Force. I'm sure this is a shooter, but what this gameplay is like is not coming up in my head right now as I'm trying to think of it. So maybe I'll check this game out today. But as you can see, not an expensive game, and with a label like that, label art like that, I doubt it's expensive today in 2022, or at least as of the recording of this video. Alright, here we go. UN Squadron, a game I done been had. This is a Capcom shooter. I will admit this game does have some pretty cool music in it, but I've heard a lot of people talk about how easy this game is. I mean, it's a shooter. I play a lot of shooters. I think this game is kind of hard. I can definitely see, where pattern recognition would come into play on this one. I definitely do. But I don't really feel like this is a great shooter. I mean, maybe it's because this is one of those shooters that adds in what I consider to be the cell phone type of mechanics, or the level up mechanics, or some people call them RPG-like mechanics. There's a little bit of that going on. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like the way that was implemented in games like Batsugun, where you just kind of leveled up as you went. I like that a little bit better. But, the way you level up in Batsugun is like a really cool, beat 'em up. But, I'm just not a fan of UN Squadron. Like, yeah, it's a shooter, and yeah, I need a copy, and do I want to get rid of it? No. Am I a huge fan of it? No. I hear just great things said about this game all the time, and that's cool and all, but I'm not a huge fan of UN Squadron, so I guess that's the unpopular opinion. But I am a huge fan of this next game, and this is Biometal. Okay, this is a good shooter. This shooter has cool mechanics. The visuals are good. The soundtrack, the music in Biometal look, this is some of the best music ever put onto a Super Nintendo cartridge. Don't believe me? Check it out. Biometal. I highly recommend this game. This is one of the best shooters that I'm going to show you in this pile right now, especially for the price. I don't think, especially in 2022, there's no way this can be more than $55. It's probably like 30 or 35 even. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of research before the video to check the prices or anything like that. And as you can see, I keep most of my games wrapped in plastic just because, you know, I don't want them rubbing up against each other and labels wearing off and stuff. I'm sure a lot of you guys do the same thing, or maybe you guys are savages and just have your games like sitting up on a shelf, like in just crazy piles, like Happy Console Gamer or something. But I like keeping mine wrapped in plastic or you know, protectors and stuff. But all right, next game, Blazion. All right, so the gameplay in Blazion is slow. There is somewhat of a capture mechanic in Blazion where you can absorb like enemies' weapons, you know, kind of like the way you can in like Gradius or something like that. The gameplay is slow in Blazion, but this game I see has been climbing in price a little bit. And there are copies out there. This is semi-common, at least for me in my area, for Blazion. If somebody else needs a copy of Blazion, I have access to another one. So just message me on social media or something. We could work something out. You know, because, you know, I know people like me in the community that like shooters, especially if you live near me or at least in the United States. If I can have access to a game that you really want, you know, I liked helping people out. Of course, you're going to have to pay for the game and shipping and stuff like that. But if I can get a good deal on it, I will pass that along to my homies, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, Blazion. I'm just saying because I think it's kind of a cool game, but I could see where some people really wouldn't like Blazion because the gameplay is a bit slow, and it is a touch on the easier side. So I think that would make it appeal to more people. But okay, anyway, next game. So this next game right here, Macross Scrambled Valkyrie. This is one of the like the most I've ever paid for it. At least this is the most I've ever paid for a video game at a convention, $100. And at the time, it's like an $80, $70, $80 game. I was caught in a moment of weakness at a convention, and this was pre-COVID. Moment of weakness. I wouldn't even call it a moment of weakness. I just wanted to play the fucker. Saw it at a convention, $100, bought it. Saw it at a game store the very next week, $80. God damn. But yeah, this is my favorite as of right now, as of 2022. This is my favorite shooter on the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom. Interesting thing about Macross Scrambled Valkyrie is it's weird how this only came out in I guess regions. I don't think this came out in PAL regions either. This was like a Japanese exclusive. But this thing's like completely in English. There's not like the little story, the intro story. When you turn the game on, everything's in English. So if you're Japanese speaking, like unless you know English, like how could you even know what's going on here? So I'm sure like anyone, if you have like a bootleg of Macross Scrambled Valkyrie, which I would if I didn't already own this copy, because again, that's a lot of money for a video game, $100. For $100 me now, a video game, I got to be trading for it, and which I do to get games that are in that price range or higher. But yeah, if you have a copy of this and it's like a bootleg copy, I'm sure the translation is probably the same unless someone wanted to switch it up. The translation's probably the same as this copy right here, because I'm telling you, this thing is completely in English. And it is my favorite shooter on the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom. And really this is my favorite 16-bit shooter. Hell, 16 moving up to 32-bit shooter. You know, this is a good one. Macross Scrambled Valkyrie. I could go on forever about this game. Next game, we have Mega Man X. This is the best Mega Man X in the Mega Man X series. At least, yeah, out of all the games, this is my favorite. I like 4 too. 1 and 4. It's weird, the ones that were the most popular commercially at the time of release tend to be the better Mega Man X games, so that's interesting. But Mega Man X, and I'm rambling on. I gotta go through these a little bit quicker. Alright, we have Gradius 3, Firepower 2000, which I think, again, this was like one of those Nintendo Switch Online games. I think I played it and liked it, and this was enough of a shooter for me to pick it up physically, and it was like $20 when I got it. Raiden on the Super Nintendo, and here's my Super Famicom Super R-Type, and Acrobat Mission. This game's really hard, and this game is really not that impressive visually. Not a huge fan of it, but at the time, it was a shooter I didn't have, and the price was right, so I snapped on it. Okay, so that's all the games I done been had. So let's go into, God, it's got piles of games now. Let's go into the games I've got recently. It's not as many as I just showed you. First off, and this isn't a game, but Game Genie. And this was, I think I paid $15 for this, but like in game stores, and I don't really see them as much as I used to, but people are asking in game stores like $30 and $35 for these. Sometimes you can see them for like $25. But if you see one, pick it up for 16-bit games, for at least for the Super Nintendo. You play shooters and stuff for training. This is definitely a must-own, at least for me. I love using it. Next up, Axelay. Okay, so this is like a Mode 7. That's what it is, like Mode 7. The 3D-ish visual effect on the Super Nintendo. It's a Mode 7 shooter. I think that's Mode 7, right? If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments or whatever. But this is hard for me. It's cool looking, but I'm just saying right now, at this point in my life, and I just got this recently, but I haven't dug deep into Axelay, so I can't really comment much about it. But kind of a cool game, and it's one of those like under 100, but still kind of a pricey. This is actually, of all the games I'm showing you right now, this is one of the ones I paid the most for because I traded for most of this stuff. And that's Terminator 2. Now, this is not a very impressive game. I feel like they could have done a lot more for this. It is a bit underwhelming and a bit depressing, to be honest with you. But maybe, and here's why I have this. The first reason why I have it, there's a game that I might do like a case swap on, and I might just use this for the shell and eat the fit. That's what I paid for this too, the $15 at Game Store. But I want to see how this plays coupled with this Game Genie right here. At least just check it out before I do something with it. Or if one of you guys like really want this, like I will just throw it to you. Like if you really, really want to play Terminator 2, the arcade game on the Super Nintendo, which really doesn't play like Terminator 2, the arcade game. But anyway, that's Terminator 2, the arcade game on the Super Nintendo. Next up, Space Megaforce. This was a game that was discounted because of the label damage there. But hey, I don't have this game, and because really the label right here, see how it's like blue? It's really just sun faded. It's a little bit more colorful, especially as far as like her face is kind of like pinkish right there. But hey, it still works and it looks good enough to me. But yeah, we're at that point in life where if I wanted a clean copy of Space Megaforce, I probably should have got it years ago, right? Oh, and this is a compile shooter. Look, this game, it ain't no GGLS3, which as of right now is my favorite. If you want to consider that a compile shooter, I guess I would. Team got back together to make it. It's a compile shooter on the Super Nintendo. I guess this would be like Super LS on the Super Famicom. But I wanted this that way I could use it with Game Genie, right? This is a hard shooter. This is a hard compile shooter. This is harder than GGLS3. But still good. Still good. Cool music. But it's no GGLS3. But it is Space Megaforce. Next game, here we have Ninja Warriors. This is a good one. This is a good one. This is one of the other games that I actually owned when I was a kid. And same deal, Ocean City. I don't think it was birthday. It might have been Christmas or maybe just a little vacation or whatever. But I remember getting this at the time. Loving it. It's just a game. My mom would buy me these random games every now and then. And this was one of them when I was a kid. As an adult, when I found out this thing was like almost $100, I was like, damn, I wish I would have got that. And, now it's like over 100, but I traded for it. So I got it now. And this is one that's semi-common too. It's and it was ported to Switch and PS4. And that port is amazing. And there's more moves in that port that port is better than this version of this game. But I wanted this because I played this as a kid. I was playing it again the other day. It's harder than the newer version. The controls aren't as good as the newer version that they did, but this is still good. This is still great. And if you do want to consider this a beat 'em up, because it's just 2D, it's all 2D, but it's like on a 2D plane, side scrolling. You can just go left, right. You can't go like left, right, up, and down. But yeah, this is a good game, Ninja Warriors. I highly recommend this game. And it's one of those ones that, yeah, it's a little bit over 100's worth it, though. Worth it. Next up, we have Run Saber, and this was, see how there's a crack in the case right here? This is the one I was saying I wanted to do a case swap on, but I got to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with that label. But, hey, I mean, it works, so, I don't need to do anything, really, but this was like a Strider on the Super Nintendo, so I'd never heard of this. And when I was looking up, like hidden gems, like videos for the Super Nintendo just recently, this wasn't a couple of lists, but I just don't remember ever hearing about it. But Run Saber, Strider, here we have, and I got this. This is the last Super Nintendo game I think I got. No, the next game is actually the last one I got. But this was the second to last one I got recently. And there was all these stickers on it, and I just kind of started peeling them apart and sticking them on different parts of the case because it shows, like, at different times, what this game costs. I don't know if that's $12.99, $17.99, $19.99. So this one's Super The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, so there's 3 Star Wars games on the Super Nintendo. There's Super Star Wars, there's Super The Empire Strikes Back, and then whatever the other Star Wars movie is, there's a Super Nintendo port of it. The first game is like it's hard, but okay, so it's like a run and gun shooter. There's like shmup, shoot 'em up sections. Well, that's my jam, that's my shit. It's like shoot 'em up sections in this game, and it's done well, it's programmed well, it's hard. In the third game, like, you can even use Ewoks and stuff, and man, I need to get that third game, and it's not that expensive. This was I paid like $17, I think, for this. 17 even. It's worth it. This is probably for the Super Nintendo for like the $17 price point. I'm assuming you're probably going to pay between $15 and $20 at your local game store. This is common as hell. They had 3 copies at my one of the game stores in my area. I'm sure I could find this at a bunch of other ones. And it's good. The gameplay is good. It's solid. Like I said, it's a run and gun shooter. This one in particular has like shmup levels in it. And it's cool. This is good the same way that Project Vice, what's that? You know, that Super Nintendo, that regular Nintendo game. Project Vice. Oh God. Hold on, let me look real quick. I have it sitting right over here. There it is. Vice Project Doom. This game is like Vice Project Doom, multi-genre. And sorry it's taken forever for me to explain how awesome Super Empire Strikes Back is, but it is, and I do recommend it for the price point. And for the price point, this is probably the most highly recommended of all the games I'm showing you right now. Next up, found this yesterday, Turtles in Time. Walked into a game store after I got done dropping my old boss off at a hotel because he has to have this like court date or something, which is a long story. But I stopped at a game store after that, and I saw this, and the people at the game store knew me, and they're like, "Hey, do you have this game?" And I said, "No, I don't have this." I mean, I did as a kid. This is one that I had as a kid. Didn't as an adult. But anyway, Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. Next up, this is Undercover Cops. This was I do believe this was a Japanese exclusive. I don't know if it came out in PAL regions, but this is just one of those retro bit IREM games, kind of like the R-Type 3 Super R-Type cart. But it's pretty good beat 'em up. I like it. And the last game is Ninja Gaiden Trilogy. Now, I've seen a lot of people bitch about this port, and it is just a port of the pretty much just a straight up port of the regular Nintendo games, but you get all 3 on the cart. Look, I'm going to say the only downside to this specific cart is the sound isn't as good. That sound just doesn't hit like it does on the regular Nintendo. But I still do recommend this, if you could find it for a decent deal. This one gets expensive. This one can be pushing $200. But if you can trade for it, I say fuck it, go ahead. So anyways, guys, that is everything right there. That is my Super Nintendo collection as of pretty much the first quarter of 2022. There's quite a few more games I'm looking for the Super Nintendo, but man, I've been really getting into the retro stuff. Like, I know Baltimore retro gaming. I've always been into retro, but just like the games that I really didn't have, there's so many games that I'm not playing in my collection that why not just trade them for games that I want? Most of the time, those were games that were so expensive at the time, I couldn't afford to play them. And those games are even more now, most of the time. But if I'm using games that I'm not playing to get those games, why not? Why not? That's awesome. I'm getting all the stuff that I never had before. Anyways, guys, till next time. Peace. Peace.
Lord God, forgive me. The streets got me acting shifty. In my darkest hours, I'm praying you staying with me. And if you don't think it's risky, let me live again like 50. Pull my spirit out like whiskey, help to save me from the misery. Lord God, forgive me. The streets got me acting shifty. In my darkest hours, I'm praying you staying with me. If you don't think it's risky, let me live again like 50. Pull my spirit out like whiskey, help to save me from the misery. If I complete for help, I can't get free for myself. Got the devil in my blood, I'm trying to bleed him on now. Freedom or hell.